Welcome to True Crime Deep Dive, the YouTube channel dedicated to exploring the lesser-known stories of injustice. No team, no flashy production, just a passion for uncovering the truth. I've always been fascinated by true crime, but not the cases that everyone else is talking about. I'm not interested in covering cases that are already trending or have been heavily covered by the media. Instead, I want to shed light on the forgotten cases, the ones that never made headlines or have been swept under the rug. You see, I believe that every victim deserves justice, regardless of whether their story has captured public attention or not. And that's why I'm here, to give a voice to those who have been silenced and to bring attention to cases that have been overlooked. But it's not just about the crime itself. I'm also passionate about standing against injustice. I firmly believe that the criminal justice system is flawed and biased, and it's our duty as citizens to question it and demand change. Through my deep dives into these cases, I hope to bring awareness to issues of injustice and spark important conversations. Another important aspect of my channel is breaking harmful stereotypes and stigma, particularly those surrounding drug addiction. Too often, those struggling with addiction are portrayed as villains or criminals, when in reality, they are victims of a broken system and often have their own stories of trauma and struggles. I want to humanize and bring empathy to those affected by addiction and show that they are more than just their struggles. So if you're ready to go beyond the surface and dive deep into the world of true crime, then you've come to the right place. Join me as we uncover the truth, seek justice, and challenge harmful narratives. This is True Crime Deep Dive. Let's get started. There's a saying, justice delayed is justice denied. In a world where the scales of justice are often tipped in favor of the powerful, the pristine gavel of a judge can symbolize both hope and despair. In the heart of the justice system, the judge's gavel begins its life untouched, unblemished. It stands as an emblem of fairness, a beacon of truth, and a guardian of the innocent. But as it navigates the complex labyrinth of human stories, the gavel starts to bear the brunt of the system's imperfections. Like a silent witness, it observes the wrongful convictions that shatter lives. It echoes the cries of the innocent, who find themselves ensnared in the web of prejudice and bias. It grieves for the broken promises that tarnish the sanctity of the courtroom, and for the voices that are silenced by the thundering verdicts. Yet, amid the cracks and flaws, the gavel persists. It carries the weight of its duty with unwavering resolve, never ceasing in its pursuit of justice. It's a constant reminder that, despite the challenges, the fight for justice can never be abandoned. In the face of adversity, the gavel strikes back, demanding a system that works for everyone. It rallies against the injustices, it champions the cause of the marginalized, and it amplifies the whispers of change into a resounding call for action. The gavel, in all its cracked and chipped glory, stands as a symbol of resilience. It reminds us that even in the face of harsh realities, the pursuit of justice must go on. It's a testament to the fact that despite the obstacles, the quest for a fair and just world is a fight worth fighting. As we delve deeper into the realm of true crime, let the gavel's journey serve as a reminder that the pursuit of justice is a collective endeavor, one that demands our unwavering commitment and relentless dedication. As we wrap up, ponder on these questions. How do we ensure that the gavel remains a symbol of justice and not of its failings? How can we contribute to a system that works for everyone? And finally, how can we make sure that the voice of the gavel is not drowned out by the noise of injustice? Remember, every crack in the gavel is a story that demands to be heard, a story that calls for change. This
Did Riley Strain vanish into thin air on a seemingly ordinary night out in Nashville? March 8, 2024, a night of fraternity camaraderie that took a chilling turn. Riley, along with his fraternity brothers, embarked on an evening of revelry, hopping from one Nashville bar to another. The last known sighting of Riley happened around 9:15 that night at a popular musician's bar, Luke Bryan's bar. 21 minutes later, he's thrown out of that same bar. After this point, 9:36 p.m., the timeline becomes a labyrinth of intrigue and unexplained events. In the early hours of March 9th, a disruptive commotion echoes through the hotel corridors. Is this related to Riley's disappearance? A hotel guest reports a cacophony of slamming doors, heated arguments, and a flurry of people entering and exiting rooms. This disturbance, lasting several hours, could be a significant lead in the investigation. As dawn breaks, a concerning silence falls. Despite Riley's conspicuous absence, his fraternity brothers wait an unusually long time before contacting his parents. The reasons behind this delay remain shrouded in mystery, however, its potential implications cannot be ignored. Every minute counts in a missing person case, and this delay has set back the search for Riley significantly. The fraternity brothers' actions, or rather their lack of action, have raised many questions. Their delay in raising the alarm and their decision to carry on with their planned activities cast a shadow on their role in the events that unfolded. With Riley's absence now clear, the clock begins ticking on a desperate search. Riley's parents arrive in Nashville, their fear tangible, and their determination unwavering. They have traveled from Missouri to Tennessee, driven by the hope of finding their son. They meet with local law enforcement officials, eager to relay every detail, every potential clue that could lead to Riley. There's an air of cooperation, a sense of shared concern. Some of the fraternity brothers are present, appearing to assist with the initial missing person report. Their participation seems earnest, their gestures sincere, but the shadow of the unexplained delay in communication looms over them. The hours turn into a day, the search for Riley intensifies. The fraternity brothers, however, make an unexpected move. They leave the search area, their absence noted by Riley's anxious parents. When they return, they are inexplicably dressed for a formal event, their priorities raising eyebrows. Yet, as the fraternity brothers depart the search area, the atmosphere grows even more puzzling. While Riley's parents scour the city, the fraternity brothers' actions cast a shadow over their sincerity. Midday turns into afternoon, and in a move that raises eyebrows, the brothers, who should be engaged in the search, instead leave the area. They reappear hours later, curiously dressed for a formal event. Their decision to continue with pre-planned festivities while their friend remains unaccounted for further complicates their role in this unfolding mystery. Their return from the event is marked by a dismissive demeanor, adding yet another layer of complexity to the situation. The brothers' seemingly nonchalant attitude contrasts sharply with the increasing desperation of Riley's parents. Meanwhile, a conflicting account emerges from one of the fraternity brothers. He claims the early morning commotion had nothing to do with Riley's disappearance, but was instead related to another brother injuring his hand. The truth of this explanation remains shrouded in uncertainty, adding to the growing list of unanswered questions. Further controversy surrounds a vigil held by Riley's college. In what seems like an inexplicable oversight, Riley's family was notified a mere 3 hours before the event, despite living a considerable distance away. The family's exclusion from this act of remembrance only adds to their grief and frustration. As the day ends, the mystery of Riley's disappearance only deepens. Each unanswered question, each inexplicable action casts long shadows over the search, leaving us grappling with the chilling unknown. 2 weeks of tireless searching of hope and despair culminate in a gut-wrenching discovery. The voiceover speaks with a solemn tone, the words heavy with the weight of loss. Riley's body is found in the Cumberland River, a tragic end to the desperate quest for answers. The narration pauses, a moment of silence to honor the young life lost. The discovery, far from providing closure, only adds to the mounting questions. How did Riley end up in the river? What events led to this heartbreaking conclusion? The voiceover's tone shifts to one of determination. The fraternity brothers' actions come under renewed scrutiny. Their dismissive demeanor, their unexplained absence during the search, their conflicting stories, all are examined in the harsh light of this grim discovery. The voiceover concludes on a somber note. As the investigation continues, the mystery of what happened to Riley remains unsolved. His family, his friends, and the community are left grappling with the cruel reality of his untimely end, seeking answers in a sea of heartbreaking questions.
Hello, everybody. Oh my god, it's been like 11, 70, um, thousand bajillion, gazillion years. Feel like I haven't seen you guys in ages. No, I don't think it's been like a week. I'm just kidding. On the dramatic part, kinda. So I have been in. I've been in some rabbit holes, and I don't even know like where to start. Okay. Yes, I do. As I have notes for this handy dandy notebook. We're going to talk about Riley. Yeah, we're going to talk about Riley. Because I have been, oh man, back to the beginning and then back around again. And now I'm like halfway back to the beginning again. And I caught something this time that I didn't catch the first two times. Because, sorry. Because that's really why I do that, for that purpose. Going back and starting over is because not necessarily that there's stuff that we miss, which sometimes there is, or I miss, should I say, but it's like sometimes you see stuff in a different like perspective when you know certain things or didn't know. Whoa, I just threw my glasses. Oh man, did y'all hear that? Oh, you probably didn't, but it's thunder. I thought it was done. Ugh, the worst. Hopefully it doesn't like knock the dang power off. Okay, let me pull this up. One of them. Okay, Riley. Okay, first and foremost, um, I went back over the autopsy and was kind of like, because there's a lot of things that I have like starred that are like, things that I thought were red flags and stuff, but I've made a point to like, okay, if I starred them, like why did I star them and what do I know about them? What could I know about them? And everything in between as far as like research wise, just like reading 50, 11 million, 70 articles of, other autopsies with similar scenarios. Like I was really trying to make some shit make sense, y'all. And the math is just like 2 plus 2 is 4, and for whatever reason, in this case, it's supposed to just be, he fell. It shouldn't be that hard to find it. Yeah, no, no, no. Anyways, but I did find something that I found to be very, what should I say? It's fuckery. It's fuckery. Mostly because the, uh, okay. There's just nothing that, in my opinion, at this point has showed any validity that Riley fell, first of all. I mean, it's just not logical and plausible when you look at the scenery and see like what he would have to fall on, how far he would have to fall, all the witnesses there would be if that did happen. And he had no cuts, scrapes, bruises, anything on his out, any on his body, like no cuts, scrapes, contusions, nothing of the like. And now, like I said, this is according to the autopsy. I wasn't there. I didn't see what he looked like. I have no, I at this point, if Metro Nashville said it, I'm gonna probably go ahead and run my luck and say, if I didn't see it, it didn't happen, because their track record is shit. And not even that's not even just me saying that. Like, that's just like public record. Google it, Metro Nashville, and just scroll for as long as you have time. And it's a shit show. Hey, Jan Thompson, Tough Muffin, Racing Stars. Okay. All right. So we're gonna start with an introduction to the case and all that. This is when I went back to the beginning and I wrote this to in a presentable format because I sent it to Chris Dingman and goodness, Ryan, which is Riley's dad, and also because it's because I felt like it. That's why. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, so some key points of interest this go round that I found that were completely either overlooked or I was just not paying attention. But obvious, and I had to like learn a lot because I didn't know like what none of these autopsy terms meant. Like, I've heard them before, but I couldn't tell you like on the spot like, oh, this is what that means. But now I can, because man, I was anyways, I read a lot of different articles about it and the way that it works and how it changes based on temperature, and it's not the business. It's not what I would rather be reading other things because it's anyway. However, apparently it's something that is very it's very big in building the time of death and kind of where the timeline wraps around as far as the autopsy goes, because there's only a certain window that after you pass away when you have like what stage of rigor mortis you're going to be in, and then based on that they can have a closer estimation as far as to when the time of death was. And that's not even in Riley's autopsy at all. Like, they don't even speculate or say, oh, probably around like what, just anywhere in the last 2 weeks, pretty much is what it says, which I think is, drum roll. I'm just kidding. Okay, enough with the dramatics. No, allegedly, in my opinion, do your own research, form your own opinion, blah blah blah. Um, there was unusual rigor mortis presence at partially, okay, is what the way it said, but we'll go on. And the presence of rubbing alcohol. Okay, now I thought I would be able to find like a logical explanation or some kind of scenario that happened, and well, okay, well that made sense. No, there's no logical reason why that is in his bloodstream. Like, nothing that I can make makes sense. Besides, he drank it. Whether it we'll get to it. It's weird. So its cause of death was primary drowning, contributing factor, ethanol intoxication, which is pretty much the way the body breaks it down. It's what turns it into alcohol, but like, liquor, not rubbing alcohol. Had a blood alcohol level of 0.0. 228, which is like 3 times the legal limit. But this is also allegedly 2 weeks after he's been in the Cumberland River. So, notable observations that he's in partial rigor mortis, 2 weeks post mortem, and there's the presence of rubbing alcohol. That's what this is mostly going to be about, because I can't make it make sense, and it's making me crazy. So now I'm going to pass it on to you guys because I'm so nice. Thank you so much. So, rigor mortis and then environmental factors. So, standard rigor mortis timeline, based on my research, allegedly, in my opinion, or whatever, Google's opinion, because I just Google shit, commences within a few hours. So that means it starts within a few hours after you die, okay? Then it peaks at 12 to 24 hours, and then it's completely resolved 24 to 72 hours tops. Unusual observation in Riley's report is partial rigor mortis present. So that would have to mean if it's partial, that's where it would be at peak. So that's got to be anywhere from 12 to 24 hours. It's not even logical to even say, oh, well, he could still be in partial rigor mortis if he'd been in the water for 2 weeks. Like, no. That's about 10 days too many. I digress, kind of. So, what needs to be reevaluated is the timeline of alleged death, the temperature, and the impact analysis, and a forensic pathologist consultation. Well, we've already got that in the autopsy, and that was just about as useless as a. However, there's no timeline, and I looked up the temperature and conditions for the river that day based off of I have to look at the name of the website again. I think I screenshotted it. So this alcohol or ethanol intoxication is known to impair your judgment and coordination. Unexpected finding was the presence of rubbing alcohol and in the toxicology reports, which means it's in the bloodstream. Points of ingestion, possible ingestion or dermal absorption. And then I looked into what that was. Like, so you can either drink it, like either knowingly, unknowingly have it in something else, or just straight up drink it. Like, apparently that's a thing too. Or if you have your skin like soaked in it for a set amount of time, you're like, apparently you'll absorb it into your bloodstream that way. But it would have to be like a prolonged period of time for that to happen, according to my research, allegedly. So it wasn't like, oh, he had his hand in a little whatever of rubbing alcohol, bowl of rubbing alcohol, and that's how it's in his bloodstream. Like, no, not that simple. He'd have to be in like a bathtub full of it, like soaking in it like it's yeah, whatever. Cheese and rice, Snooks. So key dates are March the 8th, last seen alive around 10 p.m. Then the next morning, the missing persons report was filed by his frat brother, and then he was found on March 22nd. Points of investigation, witness interviews, security footage, and last known sighting. Now, that's up for debate because we get to pick and choose, or not we, they get to pick and choose, they being Metro Nashville, what we get to see as the public, and as even his family at this point, anything that they've gotten has definitely not been through them as far as videos and stuff. But they have access to all of it. And what I want to know is why we get to see. And now, granted, I'll take it for what it is. I'm going to analyze the shit out of it. Don't get me wrong. Thank you so much. But why are we getting like these little nuggets of the at the bar and not but yet still have not seen, which I have proved to myself and all of you several times on several different live streams. There wasn't a time on Riley's journey, route, walk, whatever, that he wasn't on camera. There's no reason why we should wonder what and when and what time and how Riley went into the river, because it is on camera. If it happened the way they said it did and where they said it did, it's on video. So why do we still not see him falling in the water? Because it's bullshit. Granted, he ended up in the water, but not the way they're saying it did. No way. And if so, prove it. Then the TABC investigation findings, which were more detailed than the Metro Nashville report, but I don't understand like how they came to their conclusion, but whatever, I guess. It's the Nashville way. Just put a stamp on it and call it done, and heaven forbid, you don't want to, discourage people from going and spending that money. Heaven forbid. So we're going to watch a couple of videos real quick.
Did Riley
Okay, so this is looks like an Airbnb, and it looks like people are just walking through the kitchen, the living room, and they're not any.
To be clear, the investigation into what happened to Riley Strain is now closed. It was determined that he died by accidental drowning, but this new video obtained from inside Luke Bryan's bar provides some new insight, perhaps, into how things went down that fateful night this past March. For the first time here, you see video of Riley Strain walking unsteadily down the stairs with a security guard who is escorting him out of Luke Bryan's bar. It was the evening of March 8th, and Strain, a 22-year-old student from Missouri, suddenly found himself on his own, alone, on crowded Lower Broad in Nashville, under the influence and in an unfamiliar city. He disappeared, and 2 weeks later, his body was pulled from the Cumberland River.
My company works on the river. I have just found a dead body. I believe it to be Riley.
There have been questions about what led Strain to be kicked out of the bar, and where were the fraternity brothers who traveled with him to Nashville. This video was obtained from the investigative file. Here you see Strain following a friend in the crowded bar over to a table with the others. They sit for a while, and then Strain follows a friend up to the bar. It is at about this time security sends out this alert, warning that Strain was verbally aggressive with staff. Not long after that, an employee points Strain out to a security guard, who then goes to talk to him. After a few minutes of conversation, you see Strain's friend trying to get Strain to go back to the table with the others, but he stays. After more talking, the security guard then moves to lead Strain out of the bar, and it appears the friend, in the backwards baseball hat, turns to go tell the others. And that brings us back to the video of the stairway where Strain is led down by the security guard and then out of the bar. By the time Strain's fraternity brothers made it down to try to find him, he was gone. The investigation found no wrongdoing on behalf of the bar, and the video does not raise any new questions. The bottom line, the case is closed. The death was ruled an accident, no foul play. Nick Barris, News Channel 5.
Okay, first of all, you can fuck off. Like, first of all, you don't tell me what to do. Like, you were saying that way, like, who you, no, like, why are you so, ooh, like, about it when you ain't proved that? Like, how you gonna close the case? And, season race. Mainstream media, you're killing me, Smalls. No signs of foul play. Says fucking who?
I know you don't want to see Donald Trump retake the White House.
I'll keep my comments.
No, you don't
Yes, I do.
want a nationwide ban on a.
Fox 49 Investigates has new video of Riley Strain the night the Kickapoo grad went missing in downtown Nashville. Video from his family's private investigators shows Riley's friends sitting on the outside patio at Luke's 32 Bridge when one of his friends goes to the bar, followed by Riley, and appears to get some water. Moments later, a security guard is flagged down for Riley's apparent behavior. And after a brief interaction, Riley is walked out of the bar. His friend returns to the group they came with. Riley is then seen stumbling down the stairs behind the security guard when he exits the bar. That's that video you're looking at now when he's being escorted out. Then at 9:28, this message is sent to staff, which includes a picture of Riley that reads, "Verbally aggressive with staff, no entry." 11 minutes later, a security guard writes, "I just escorted him, please no re-entry." Strain's body later washed up in Nashville's Cumberland River. His cause of death was
Now, see, that's the shit I'm talking about. That is not what that text says. Like, why didn't you just read what it says? Or better yet, not show it if you weren't going to read it verbatim. Like, you're so mad. Anyway, so what it says is verbally aggressive with staff, no entry. At 9:39, which 11 minutes later, it says, I just escorted him out a second time from upper. Please no entry. Now, why didn't, like, why? Sorry, bothers me.
no re-entry. Strain's body later washed up in Nashville's Cumberland River. His cause of death was determined to be drowning and ethanol intoxication from drinking. We do have
Now, what the fuck? How the fuck do we know that's Riley? That red circle. Metro, you stop it. Stop it. And the people that are just like, oh my God, there goes Riley. Stop it. You should be ashamed of yourself. How the fuck? Oh, sure. Yeah, what kind, well, how many fingers is he holding up? Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, and listen, they can do better than that because this ain't even one of the cameras that I got documented on my list. We should watch him walk. Very close proximity, like not across the street. Like you can have it from every angle at this point. I'll say that confidently. And I can prove it again, but please don't make me because I don't want to do that again. You could go watch it on my previous stream. Several of them. This is crazy. This is the game-changing evidence. Like, oh, fuck my life. But, hold on. Here's the kicker. There ain't no fucking timestamps. So here you go. You can see them, but you have no idea when, what time, or in what order. And you're supposed to just be like, okay, sure, it's a clusterfuck, but I'll believe what you said because it makes more sense than, oh, my head hurts. Sorry. Not gonna get me like that. I'm encouraged by it. Like, it entices me, and I like to make it make sense. And when it don't, we have problems.
Extensive coverage of Riley's disappearance and death on our website, ozarksfirst.com.
Okay. So here's this bar footage. We got receipts with timestamps, but none of the footage is timestamped, so we don't know what bar they're at, what time it was, who he was. No, we're just supposed to guess, I guess. So here's Riley, somewhere, and at some time, right here. Obviously, somebody that he's with, standing right here. He's got his hand. He's like this is above him. And on top of the bar, like you see the receipts right here on the bar. Oh. And they're sitting in like little stools, and Riley's waiting on his drink or whatever. And about to sign his receipt. Somebody here, I don't know what they're holding. Maybe a Red Bull beer. The red cap, I think it's probably Red Bull, but I'm not sure. But they're clearly together, and I'm not sure who this kid is. Okay, then we get a receipt from Miranda Lambert, Casa Rosa, and then it says the check number, and then it says the date, which was March the 8th. Then it says guest 2, and then this was at 5:36 p.m. And then the table, and then the server. Okay, 1 can of Michelob Ultra, $8.24. 1 Gringo Tacos, $15. A $10 glass of margarita, and a steak quesadilla. So spent $47.29 tax, blah blah blah. But then it says not paid at the bottom, 12 cents. So I wonder like how. Anyways, 12 cents. It says that on there, and it's on the screen. So I digress. So right here, Riley's walking out of somewhere at some time with no timestamp, and the security guard over here like taps him and points towards the door and tells him he's got to go back in. And I'm assuming because of the drink he's got in his hand. Because if you watch, he's going to go back in the door right here, stop right here by the trash can, appear to finish something, tip it up, drinking it, and throws it in the garbage. And then as he's walking back by the security guard, he has his thumb up, like asking, "Am I good?" And the security guard says, "Motions, you're good." And then Riley walks off and catches up to the group that he was walking with. Okay, then there's a receipt for Luke's 32 food and drink. Okay, the number, the date, or the date, the guest 0, which is weird because it would have to at least be 1, so that's some weird shit. Anyways, 8:28 p.m. And then the server. I wonder if this is the server that he got into it with and was the reason why he got thrown out. That would have been around an hour ahead of time, but he was supposedly, allegedly, according to the TABC report, him and a couple of his buddies went to Luke's twice. And in between, they went to Kid Rock's. And when they came back to Luke's the second time, it was only like 21 minutes that they were back in there when Riley got thrown out. So here, okay, and according, we're gonna play a game, not really a game, but I'm gonna take notes. You can do whatever you want, but I'm gonna write down, okay, how many drinks. So we got a can of, I think that was for the other guy, but regardless, okay, so we got 1 margarita and 1 Jack Daniels. I'm assuming a shot, I don't know. And this is okay, so we're just keeping up right now for consumption purposes. Like for how intoxicated he would have been in this time frame, because right now we're at, the one receipt was 5:30 and the second one was at 8:30, so this is 3-hour gap. So it's not like he's slamming them in a 45-minute period. And then I'm not saying, 3 hours isn't much longer for his size, but I don't think all those drinks that he was ordering, as we're going to see in some of these videos, he was drinking. I think he was buying them for his buddies. And $7 tip. So, and it doesn't show anything for like a tab either, but I don't know. This is him walking down the stairs somewhere. I don't know, one of the 3 bars. Don't know what time, but you can see Riley's. To say he wasn't visibly intoxicated, I mean, I guess they could get away with it because we don't know what bar this was in and at what point, this could be right before he gets escorted out. But if this was one of the bars that served him, like after he was in this condition, how would you not have contributed to over serving? Like, unless you're that disengaged, but that would kind of defeat the purpose of the protocol, so to say, which is not much of a protocol because it doesn't do anything proactively. It's a reactive, and that's the freaking problem. I digress. And you see all this food on the receipts too, but you don't ever see him getting it. Like, you don't see him eating it. Like, at this point, he could have bought that for all of his friends and never touched any of it. But according to the receipt, the first one from Miranda Lambert's, which was like around 5:30, he, ordered food as well. So he wouldn't have been on an empty stomach. And he, I get that counts. So this is an employee witness report. The date was March the 12th at 9:38 p.m. The employee witness name is Ray something. The date of the incident, March 8th. Or does that say September 8th? Okay, they got some crazy handwriting. Anyways, location of incident, venue name Luke's, and then location of incident upper. I'm assuming that means there's what, 2-3 floors? I want rooftop, I would assume, so probably third. Time of incident 9:35 p.m. Statement: intoxicated male with friend was arguing with bartender over tab. Bartender told me he had gone out and hadn't even ordered a drink. I can't see that. But he started arguing his friend something something something, and then friend again that night. They covered it up real convenient. Okay, now we have one on the next day, March the 13th at 4:00 p.m. Someone named Brian. The date of the incident, March 8th. Luke's 32, upper rooftop. Oh, okay, this guy can actually, yeah, that's a guy. And this says it's at 9:30 p.m. Says I was up on the upper roof making my rounds. Checking on staff and the floor. I noticed Sydney, talking to a guest that was overly intoxicated. She refused to serve, and then it's covered up and it says too intoxicated. Then it says up there, she asked them to remove the guest. This was taken care of so quickly and without. That's all I could see.
on Broadway back in March. Well, a private investigator hired by the family of Riley Strain has completed his separate investigation. The 22-year-old college student went missing after a night on Broadway back in March. His body later found in the Cumberland River. Now, private missing person investigator Steve Fisher says he will not disclose any information as this report belongs to the family of Riley Strain. But it's a 281-page report, and he says it includes an hour of video with surveillance footage back from March 8th. According to the medical examiner, the 22-year-old died from accidental drowning and alcohol intoxication. The Metro Nashville Police Department also ruled his death as accidental. The private investigator says what the family chooses to do with this report is entirely up to them. Well, Fisher did go on social media writing, quote, "I waited until all other agencies completed their reports before releasing mine to the family. With so much data already released, the family may decide not to read my report at this time. It is a lot to rehash, and the accompanying video will undoubtedly be hard to watch." Right now, we do not know if the family will release those findings publicly.
This is a News 2 breaking news alert.
Thank you, Mark. One of the mysteries after a college student died on a spring break trip to Nashville was whether bars overserved him. Well, the results of an investigation just came in. Good evening and welcome to News 2 at 5. I'm Bob Mueller.
And I'm Haley Wilgus. Riley Strain disappeared last March after a night out on Broadway. His body was found 2 weeks later in the Cumberland River. Then, earlier this month, the medical examiner ruled he died of an accidental drowning and ethanol intoxication, which often means someone drank too much alcohol. Investigators are looking into whether he was overserved. We're waiting on those results. News 2's Alicia Wimberly is at the WKRN.com alert desk with the final word on that. Alicia.
Now, Bob and Haley, state investigators did not find any evidence Riley Strain was overserved at these bars. Police found he had multiple alcoholic drinks after arriving in Nashville with friends on a fraternity trip. The Tennessee Alcoholic Beverage Commission just told us in a statement, while the circumstances of Mr. Strain's death are tragic, the TABC investigation into whether he was served alcohol while visibly intoxicated on the night of March 8th, 2024, did not result in any concrete evidence in the form of eyewitness testimony or video proof of a violation by a bar. So at this point, police, the medical examiner, and the state all indicate this was simply a tragic accident. Bob and Haley.
Wow, I just built the most amazing workflow on Monday.com.
You build your own workflow? Why? There are a bunch of amazing pre-made templates you can just choose from.
Nah, I'm a custom-made kind of gal. I work with a lot of vendors, so I made my own form. It has
You know, we've seen a lot of video of downtown Nashville and the places where Riley Strain was last seen before vanishing, but there is video that shows Riley Strain walking in other places, video that has not been released to the public. Riley's family told us about it last night on this show. Police have shown it to them, but they are not releasing it to us. And we asked why they're not sharing it publicly, and they said that it's very poor quality, doesn't prove anything other than Riley was around the bridges where his phone pinged for the last time. I beg to differ because we got a much better description from a friend of Riley's family, Chris Dingham, who told us that it was captured by a surveillance camera high above the Woodland Street Bridge, and the timestamp on it is 9:57 p.m., which makes it the last of several videos to document Riley Strain's movements. The last, like that's it. It shows Riley walking under the Woodland Bridge and then stopping at that lamppost right there. And he stops for about 6 to 7 seconds, and this is where it gets important. He's seen doing something on his phone. And then he continues northward towards the second bridge close by. That's the James Robertson Parkway Bridge. And the last time he's seen on camera is when he passes this yellow sign just before he reaches that James Robertson Bridge. And he's not been seen or heard from since. The part about him being on his phone is sort of fascinating because of a brand new theory that is circulating. People online have noticed that it has to do with the name of his hotel. When he spoke with his friends on the phone after leaving the bar on Broadway, he told them that he was headed back to his hotel, the Tempo by Hilton. Remember that, the Tempo. The Tempo is a 12-minute walk from Luke Bryant's bar, where Riley was standing after being kicked out. But it is a 12-minute walk west. You'd have to turn left out of the bar, down Broadway. See Luke's on the bottom there? Turn left down Broadway, 12 minutes, you're home. But for some reason, he took the red path up 3rd Ave. He walked straight north. Then he turned right on Church. And then he turned left along the river. Don't forget, he was visiting from Missouri, so he didn't know his way around. So there is a pretty good chance that he tried to follow a map on his phone to get back to his hotel. You know, directions. We all do that on our phone. There are 2 businesses in downtown Nashville, at least 2, that share the name Tempo. The Tempo Hotel, where Riley was going, and Your Tempo, a software company. And that company, Your Tempo, you guessed it, it is right past the 2 bridges where Riley was last seen. At least the video that we're told exists and that the family was shown by the police. When he stopped at that lamppost to look at his phone, was he looking at directions or a map that would take him to the Tempo business instead of the Tempo Hotel? Which would mean he wasn't wandering aimlessly, he was going to the wrong Tempo. And remember the timestamp that I mentioned, 9:57 p.m. Riley's phone last pinged 1 minute later at 9:58. That would have been right after Riley walked under the James Robertson Parkway Bridge. Did he turn the phone off right then and there? Did he fall into the river right then and there? Or did he run into trouble right then and there? There are a couple of other theories that are getting some attention tonight. There's a car that is spotted near Riley in each of the surveillance videos. And some observers think that that same car is following Riley. We have taken a look at the videos, and we've looked at them, and we've looked at them, and we've looked. It's kind of impossible to tell whether it's the same car in all of the videos. And even if it is, that sort of a kidnapping is really hard to reconcile with every other data point that we've been able to put together. Nashville police are not commenting. We've invited them again on this program. They have declined again. There are also questions about the 911 call that was made from Riley's friends following the afternoon on March 9th. Take a look.
Okay. What is his name?
His name is Riley Strain. Riley, R-I-L-E-Y, Strain, S-T-R-A-I-N.
Okay. Is he white, black, Hispanic, Asian?
He's white. 22-year-old, 6'5", blonde.
Okay. And what was he last seen wearing?
Outside of Luke Bryan's bar last night at like 10, and then the last time his location on his phone was by the sheriff's office at like 11 p.m.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider, and don't forget to
at this time, according to the examination here at the riverbank.
The question of what exactly happened to Riley Strain still remains unanswered 6 days after the 21-year-old's body was pulled from the Cumberland River. Thanks for joining us, everyone, here on News Channel 5 Plus and streaming tonight. I'm Rory Johnston.
And I'm Carrie Sharp. The family has ordered a second autopsy as we are still waiting for the final report.
But a new detail led us to a world-renowned expert on body decomposition right here in Tennessee. Nick Barris has the story.
A friend of Riley Strain's family says that they ordered a second autopsy, which reached the same basic conclusions as Metro's. But he says the Strain family also has questions about the condition of Riley's body when it was pulled from the river. A dock worker spotted the body downriver from downtown Nashville where Riley was last seen. Police Chief John Drake confirmed the identity.
Mr. Strain still had the shirt on that he was wearing, still had the watch.
But News Channel 5 has learned Riley's body was found without his jeans or cowboy boots. Riley certainly was fully clothed in the security video the night he disappeared, but when he was pulled from the river 2 weeks later, from the waist down, only his boxer shorts and socks remained.
It is unusual. Normally, if you fall in the river, it's very difficult to get your pants off.
Dr. Bill Bass, now retired, is the founder of the University of Tennessee's famed Body Farm and one of the foremost experts on body decomposition in the world. We asked him about the missing pants and boots. Dr. Bass says it's possible but unlikely they just came off in the river current.
No, they would not come off by themselves.
Dr. Bass says debris could have snagged the clothing or...
I would say that somebody took them off. If you do research on this, which is very difficult because you got to kill a person to do it, but it's difficult to get your pants off. It's difficult when you're alive to get your pants off.
We did speak with Riley's stepdad, Chris, who says he does not right now want to comment on the friend's interview because the family is preparing for Riley's funeral on Friday. But he did say that they will have, quote, big things to share, unquote, next week. Nick Barris, News Channel 5.
Nick, thank you. Investigators are still awaiting toxicology.
Okay. So we have up here at the introduction, Riley Strain, 22-year-old male, found in the Cumberland River on March 22nd. Unusual rigor mortis and rubbing alcohol presence and ethanol alcohol intoxication. The autopsy and toxicology findings: cause of death was drowning, contributing factor, the blood alcohol level, and ethanol intoxication. Notable observations: we have partial rigor mortis weeks post-mortem and rubbing alcohol in toxicology report. So standard rigor mortis timeline. Stupid thing. So this report delves into the investigation, or the investigative aspects surrounding the death of Riley Strain, 22-year-old male whose body was recovered from the Cumberland River on March 22nd. Strain had been missing since March 8th. While the cause of death was determined to be drowning and ethanol intoxication, several factors warrant further investigation, particularly the unusual presence of rigor mortis and the detection of isopropanol in the toxicology report, which is rubbing alcohol. So the rigor mortis and environmental factors are standard rigor mortis commences or begins within a few hours after death, and it peaks within the first 12 to 24 hours. And it's completely resolved and done, no more signs of it within anywhere between 24 to 72 hours. And 72 hours is the absolute, like, the most with certain conditions that, the main contributing factor is temperature. If the colder it is, the slower the process. So my observation is the presence of partial rigor mortis 2 weeks after death is highly unusual, in my opinion. Standard rigor mortis should resolve within 72 hours under cold conditions. Given the water temperature in the Cumberland River was likely in the 50s Fahrenheit, it could slow decomposition, but not to the extent observed. So points of investigation. We need an exact time of death. Determine if Strain's death occurred closer to the discovery time, because that would make sense. Assess whether the body was moved or exposed to varying temperatures affecting the rigor mortis timeline. Temperature impact analysis. So, conduct a detailed study of the river's temperature fluctuations during the 2 weeks. Examine how water currents might have exposed the body to different temperature zones. Consult with a forensic pathologist and one that has expertise in aquatic environments to provide insights in the prolonged rigor mortis. Now, we didn't get anything from the autopsy. They didn't even throw out a estimation or anything. They just didn't even cover the time of death. Review similar cases where bodies were submerged in cold water for extended periods of time, and I absolutely did that. So, presence of rubbing alcohol. Okay, so he's got alcohol, like liquor, 0.228, known contributing factor to impaired judgment. Then there's rubbing alcohol, and the presence is unusual and concerning. Points of ingestion. He could have ingested it intentionally or accidentally. So review security footage, witness statements, and bar inventory to check if any possible or accidental ingestion. Dermal absorption, which is a less likely scenario, however, it is something that has happened when I did research, and it says it would require prolonged skin contact with rubbing alcohol. So examine the body and any signs of prolonged exposure to rubbing alcohol. Investigate any potential reasons for Strain having access or to using rubbing alcohol on the night of his disappearance, and explore whether rubbing alcohol could have been introduced to his system after death. So the timeline reconstruction, we got key dates and times. March 8th, 2024, last seen alive at 10 p.m. March 9th, 2024, missing persons report file. March 22nd, body recovered from Cumberland River. And then witness interviews. You need to conduct detailed interviews with friends, bar staff, and the witnesses who saw Strain on the night of the 8th. Gather information about Strain's behavior, state of mind, and interactions. Consider the findings from the TABC investigation. No evidence of over-serving, allegedly according to them. Analyze security footage. Collect and review security footage from the bar and surrounding areas. Track Strain's movements post-departure from the bar to establish a more precise timeline. Investigate his last known activities between 10 on March 8th and the time his body was found. Explore any gaps in the timeline that could provide clues about his disappearance and death. Well, boy, is there gaps, because, man, that just leaves about 14 days. What the hell? Anyways, so the Tennessee Alcohol, whatever, Board of crap, the Tennessee Alcohol Beverage Commission, that one, conducted a trace investigation focusing on potential over-serving at the bars Riley Strain visited. The investigation concluded that Riley was not served alcohol in violation, according to them. Okay. Rigor mortis timeline. Typically, rigor mortis sets within a few hours of death. peaks within 12 to 24 hours and resolves within the next 24 to 72 hours. Finding partial rigor mortis 2 weeks later suggests something unusual happened. If Riley Strain wasn't in the water for 2 weeks, shorter time frame, if he died closer to the time the body was found, the presence of partial rigor mortis becomes more plausible within the typical timeline. Factors to consider. The autopsy reported likely documented other signs related to decomposition that could help estimate the time frame since death. These findings, combined with the presence of partial rigor mortis, could be evaluated by the forensic pathologist. Knowing when and where Riley was last seen, along with when and where the body was found, would be crucial for estimating the time spent in the water. The information would help determine 2 weeks, if 2 weeks is an accurate timeline. How the river could still be relevant. Even if Riley wasn't in the water for the entire 2 weeks, the time spent submerged could have slowed decomposition compared to being on land. This could partially explain the presence of rigor mortis observed during the autopsy. Investigating the possibility Riley wasn't in the water for the entire 2 weeks is a critical step. The autopsy findings and investigation details would provide more evidence to refine the estimated time since death and better understand the role of the river environment in the decomposition process. So that's what they should have did, could have did, and could still do. However, they're trying to seal that stamp closed so they can go back on to doing nothing. Next. So I had to have this all the way broken down for me, so I figured I would pass the information along because I'm a nice guy. Thank you so much. So rigor mortis and livor mortis are two different post-mortem after death changes that occur in the body. Here's a breakdown of each. So rigor mortis is the stiffening of the body's muscles that happens after death. It is caused by chemical changes within muscle cells. When someone dies, their body stops producing adenosine triphosphorate, ATP, which is the energy source muscles needed to relax. Without ATP, muscles stay contracted, causing the body to become stiff. Rigor mortis typically starts within a few hours after death, around 2 to 4 hours, and reaches its peak stiffness within 12 to 24 hours. It then gradually resolves over the next 24 to 72 hours as muscle tissue starts to break down. In most cases, rigor mortis wouldn't be present 2 weeks after death. The autopsy report described is partial rigor mortis being unusual after 2 weeks, suggesting the need for further investigation. Livor mortis. Okay. Livor mortis is known as livor mortis or postmortem lividity, which is the pooling of the blood in the lower parts of the body after death. It causes a reddish-purple discoloration of the skin. After death, blood circulation stops. So due to gravity, blood pulls to the dependent areas of the body, typically the back, buttocks, and lower extremities. This pulling creates the discoloration. Livor mortis usually starts to appear within 30 minutes to an hour after death and becomes most noticeable within 6 to 12 hours. It can be helpful in estimating the time since death, particularly in the early stages. Livor mortis can sometimes be mistaken for bruising. However, unlike a bruise, the discoloration of livor mortis will blanch or turn pale when pressure is applied. So, key differences, rigor mortis and livor mortis. Rigor mortis affects the muscles and livor mortis is the blood. The cause of rigor mortis is lack of ATP, and the cause of livor mortis is pooling of blood due to gravity. The timeline for rigor starts within hours, resolves in days, and for livor, it starts within minutes or hours, but most noticeable in 6 to 12 hours. The appearance of rigor is stiffness of the body, and the appearance of livor is reddish-purple discoloration of the skin, blanches with pressure. Okay, so now that you know that, Now we have skin slippage. Trigger warning. Graphic content warning. Snowflake warning. What is it? It refers to the separation of the epidermis, which is the outermost layer, from the dermis, which is the inner layer of the skin. It's a natural process that occurs during later stages of decomposition. How the river could be involved in there being skin slippage. So being submerged in water accelerates it and compared to dry environments, clearly. The constant moisture loosens the connection between the epidermis and dermis. While colder water slows decomposition overall, it might not completely prevent skin slippage if the body was submerged for a prolonged period. Skin slippage typically occurs after a longer period than partial rigor mortis, so finding both together suggests an extended time frame since death, even if the body wasn't in the water for the entire 2 weeks. The colder water slowed decomposition, but skin slippage still occurred due to prolonged submersion in a moist environment. I hate that word, y'all. Partial rigor mortis might persist due to the combined effects of colder water and incomplete decomposition. So the time spent in the water was enough for skin slippage to begin due to the wet environment. The partial rigor mortis could be explained by the total time since death, even if not the entire 2 weeks spent underwater. The report likely documented other decomposition signs that, alongside skin slippage or partial rigor mortis, would help estimate the time frame since death. However, we didn't get the luxury of seeing that. We got the bare minimum. Anyways, so knowing when and where Riley was last seen. Actually, when I say knowing that, I mean like seeing it for yourself, because they could say whatever they want, but no. All right. All right. Now we have pulmonary edema and rubbing alcohol ingestion. So, when swallowed, rubbing alcohol is converted into acetone by the liver. Acetone, a byproduct, irritates the lungs, delicate lining, epithelium in the air sacs. I don't know. I'm not even going to try to say those words. All right. Increased permeability. The damaged lining becomes leaky, allowing fluids, including plasma, from the bloodstream to enter the air sacs. The fluid accumulation hinders gas exchange, oxygen uptake, and carbon dioxide removal, causing breathing difficulty, which is pulmonary edema. The severity depends on the amount ingested, and this is caused by drinking rubbing alcohol. Okay. Now, the reason why I thought this was something to take note of and to talk about is because that is one of the few things that is noted in the autopsy, is that Riley had a pulmonary edema. Okay. Now, if you have a mild case of it, you'll have coughing, shortness of breath, chest tightness. In severe cases, you have rapid breathing, wheezing, or life-threatening respiratory failure requiring immediate medical attention. So based off of the available information, the most likely ingestion way that it would get into his bloodstream would be, it could be inhaled, ingested, or entered through another route, which is skin contact. The detected amount might not be conclusive regarding its role in the fluid buildup. So drowning itself can cause fluid in the lungs, making it get difficult to isolate the specific cause. So understanding the concentration could help determine its potential contribution to the pulmonary edema. So investigating other reasons for the fluid buildup, like pneumonia or heart failure, are crucial. So they dropped the ball there too, because it's a lot of, oh, it could be this, but it could be this. Like, why would you not, as an investigator, with all the scrutiny and all the eyes you had on this case, not like do everything to the best of your ability, run that extra test, go that extra mile, and get the results, whatever they are? This half-assing shit is pissing me off. Okay. So now I want to shift gears a little. So, I've been talking for like 5 minutes muted. No, didn't you miss me? Alright. So, because I am who I am and I do what I want, we're going to shift gears. Squirrel, left turn, skirt. Because I do what I want, and I want to talk about. Well, actually, we're gonna. It's gonna blow your mind and all those other weird things, and if it overwhelms you, this rabbit hole we're about to endeavor on, you can blame Twin Mama. Thank you so much. Yes, write that down. Put that as your disclaimer. It is all Twin Mama's fault. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Puff Muffin, the way I read it, it's actually not necessarily water in the lungs, it's more like water on the lungs. Like it's common when someone has pneumonia or um, things of that nature, but it is present in drownings as well, but it's usually present alongside something else, not rubbing alcohol, which can also cause the fluid buildup on the lungs because of the way that it evaporates through from the sounds of it. It like burns from the inside out, I would imagine. I could just imagine that's how it would feel because I know how it burns on my boo-boos and I couldn't imagine like swallowing that shit. No, how? That like it hurts so bad. No way. But what the actual teetotal, I'm just going to say it, fuck, is going on in Oklahoma? Let me, oh my God, put this as a warning, trigger warning, graphic language warning, all the other warnings. I'm about to say some fucks because this is some fuckery. And again, thank Twin Mama for this. Thank you so much.
I don't put chemicals on my face. Hi, I'm Jasmine Butler, a seasoned herbalist whose
Cases were eerily. Knock, knock. Hi there. I'd love to show you what a K-12 powered school is.
Their own purpose.
The night that the car.
She did talk to her again. Conversation was cut short, and I never talked to her again.
Vanished without a trace.
She said that she was in a bad way. She was trying to get away from a bad person.
A 33-year-old woman on a cross-country road trip disappears in rural Oklahoma.
They're pretty well known for being places where people can dump bodies and it be forever if somebody finds them.
A tangled web in an area notorious for the missing and murdered.
There was no accident. I mean, it looked like it was put there on purpose.
The night that the car was found, did you or anyone in law enforcement do a grid search on the property?
I don't think anybody searched until the next morning.
The investigation.
Oh, y'all just be ready for this. I'm gonna pause and talk my shit so many motherfucking times in this fucking video because, oh, it is so bad. Y'all, like, oh, my ears are getting hot just thinking about it. Okay, we have another fucking case in another fucking town where they think the rules just don't apply to them and they can just do whatever they want. I'm talking about this scroungy ass police department. Okay. Oh, Lord Jesus and the shepherds and everything holy, pray for me because I'm going to need church after this. I'm about to say some bad words. Okay, and if y'all are wondering, okay, well, how far is this scroungy ass little town away from Terrell? Well, funny you ask. I just happened to look. It's about 2 hours away. However, what the fuck is happening in Oklahoma? Excuse my fucking language, but what the actual fuck? Y'all buckle up, buttercups. Oh boy. It is going to trigger you in all the worst ways, because I'm not even going to tell you why, because that would be weird. I'm not going to tell you why to be triggered. You'll tell me why you're triggered after you watch it, because I am going to tell you I'm still triggered. I'm triggered again, and that's why I'm here, because honestly, I didn't have any intention on going live. Still got a lot going on, but this shit pissed. Thank Twin Mama. Thank you so much. But she knew what she was doing, because it lit a fire up underneath my ass, because, oh boy. So, you've been warned. Snowflakes should probably exit stage left and come back like never. Just kidding. Kinda.
Investigation into what happened
would end up taking our team more than a year to uncover.
And it's going to be the top people that have covered it up.
Theories in a case fueled by small-town gossip and conspiracies.
His second scenario was she got out and was eaten by hogs.
As we set out to unravel the mystery
of Caitlin Case.
I'm going to get to the bottom of it. I don't care until it takes me to the day I die.
It's a small dot on the map, a swath of tribal land along the Red River, with boggy banks and thickets.
God bless it, that God-forsaken Red River, and that God-forsaken Red River, okay? She said it, not me. That's what got my spidey senses tingling when I first listened in, and I was like, oh, Pandy Dandy Notebook, what the actual fuck? And when you hear the date, you're gonna be like, what the fuck? Why haven't I heard about this? What the fuck is right? What the fuck is right? That is gonna be the theme of the rest of this show. What the actual fuck? Hashtag that.
Full of secrets.
Our investigative team set out on a search for answers in the disappearance of Caitlin Case. She had been missing for months, and her case had grown cold.
What followed was a multi-year investigation that started on a dead-end, dirt-lined road in far southeastern Oklahoma.
Here's Lisa Monahan with Missing Case.
She came across the river into Oklahoma. And we've had several missing persons.
Seems like there's a lot of weird stuff going on.
With its vast expanse of land, lakes, and rivers, it's easy to get lost in the beauty of southeast Oklahoma. Unfortunately, it seems just as easy to be lost there, especially in Choctaw County.
People come up missing in this area. Something needs to be done.
It's hard to say precisely how many have gone missing,
especially women being abducted.
Since authorities, local and state, provide conflicting information on these cases or refuse to name them missing at all.
They're real good at hiding things here.
According to national crime records, 8 people have vanished in this sparsely populated county in just 2 years' time. One of them was Caitlin Case.
It's heartbreaking. We talked all the time.
Hey, Pop. It's Katie. Call me back when you get this.
On a road trip from her hometown of Houma, Louisiana to Black Hawk, Colorado, Caitlin went off the grid, somewhere on the back roads of Texas. It was August 5th, 2022.
We were on the phone.
Hey, Pop.
The conversation was getting weak. I couldn't understand what she was saying because of the...
Caitlin's father, Gordon, says the dropped call didn't seem significant at that moment, but...
There was nothing ever again. It's rough. You're talking to someone that you love, and and all of a sudden they're gone.
Then lost, Gordon says, in the investigation marred by missteps and misconduct. One that reveals a potential crack in the system big enough for more people like Caitlin to fall through. It is why we spent months looking into what happened and what didn't happen, starting with the first break in the case, a week after Caitlin's disappearance.
I get a phone call from Caitlin's father, Gordon.
Gordon told Hugo Detective Billy Jenkins about a ping on his Find My Phone app that led him down a lonely road just north.
Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. This is gonna happen a lot. But why is he having to do that at all? Like, it's great that he has the ability to do that, but why haven't the police already done that? He's tracking her phone and he being her dad and showing police that, hey, look, like, what the fuck is wrong with this equation? A lot. What the fuck are you? Mm, it gets worse.
North of Highway 109 to a private ranch near the Kiamichi River.
Again, no offense to anybody out there, but these motherfucking ranches in this motherfucking state. I digress.
They had located the phone, they believed. And he said it's behind this locked gate.
Jenkins says he rushed there to help.
We drove past the home and into the property proper. We went through the cattle guards, past the barns, and we began to walk the river.
An hour into the search,
Gordon starts hollering that he's found the car. I found her. I was like, oh, great.
there at the bottom of a rolling hill, cradled between two trees and hanging above the riverbank, sat Caitlin's car. Clearly, it had wrecked, but was it an accident or an intentional, perhaps criminal act?
Someone was attempting to throw it in the river to get rid of it.
But nothing in the car could confirm Gordon's suspicions of foul play.
The car's empty. The car is empty. There's nobody, nothing, no sign of anybody.
Listen here, you scroungy son of a bitch. The fact that there's nothing in the car and it's empty is suspicious. Humana. Come on. Like, how fucking lazy can you get? Oh, there's nothing suspicious. There was just nothing in there. Well, the fact that there's nothing in there is fucking suspicious, considering you just said it was private fucking property, you dickhead. I digress.
No blood, no signs of a struggle. There were, however, several of her personal belongings. Phones, credit cards, ID, and most concerning, her clothes and shoes, including what she...
So now, she's naked, with no shoes, no phone, nothing on, barefoot, did I mention that? Naked, and, I guess just walked off and got eaten by hogs. First of all, how horrible to picture to even say that to a family as like a, oh, that's my theory, or that you, why, like, and how did you get there? They ate her, they took her clothes off and put them back in the car, you know, and didn't tear them to shreds. I mean, come on, you're not even trying. And you're pissing me off, you scroungy. Oh, just wait. Fucking wait. Because this is just the local sheriff's department. Wait until the OSBI takes over. Then you're going to get real triggered.
she'd been wearing in the hours before her disappearance.
At that point, we notified the OSBI that, hey, we found this vehicle.
The OSBI took over the case and quickly determined, through surveillance video and cell tower data, that Caitlin's car ended up in its final resting spot by the river a few hours after her last communication with her father.
And I never heard from her ever again.
Theories vary as to what happened to Caitlin, but one popular with investigators is that she walked away from the crash and hitchhiked out of town.
My daughter would have never done like that. And
butt naked, with no shoes on, no phone, no purse, no nothing, and just hitchhiked it in her birthday suit and said, Lord, just get me somewhere. right? Like well, you would think if that was the case, it would be real easy to narrow down who that was, because I think somebody would remember picking up a butt naked barefoot lady with nothing but her birthday suit and everything else God gave her, and nothing else. No, and I think that would be pretty impressionable if she was hitchhiking. I think someone would remember, oh yeah, I picked it. You know, it kind of narrows it down a little bit, don't you think? Fucking scroungy fucks.
She didn't have any shoes. She didn't have any clothes. We found all that in her vehicle.
Gordon is also skeptical of another investigator's suggestion that she may have survived the crash, but was then eaten by wild hogs.
They wouldn't be able to find a trace of her if she was torn to pieces. That's what he told. He told Caitlin's mother.
Gordon began questioning the competence of the investigators.
I was thinking that I had people that were going to actually do something, you know, get involved and handle this and take it serious. But that was far from the case.
Any efforts made by the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation remain as much a mystery as Caitlin's disappearance. The OSBI has repeatedly denied our request for even the most general information. From what we've been able to piece together, the handling of the potential crime scene could explain why law enforcement is unwilling to open up about the investigation. Collectively, law enforcement believes she's walked away from the vehicle. There was some sort of crash, so maybe she's even disoriented. Detective Jenkins is the only law enforcement officer so far who's been willing to discuss the initial investigation with us. He's been involved from day one, but was never in charge. Did anyone that evening look in the nearby barn in case she crawled to safety to the barn?
I know they did. I'm not sure.
$10 can help fund powerful.
Eerily similar to
at that point to find anybody or anything. I don't think anybody searched until the next morning, to tell you the truth.
What? Why would you not do a grid search when you found the car immediately? If there's a wrecked car and she's not in there and you think that she crawled out, then she could be in that vicinity. Especially considering it's right there on the water. What are you talking about? You didn't search until the next day. Fuck my life. Can you do anything right or by protocol? Do you even have protocols? Because if so, I think you might need to reread through them again. Because this is fucking textbook, like, Blue's Clues Detective, day 1. Get your shit together, Oklahoma.
Truth.
And law enforcement had nothing to do with that search. It was Gordon out there leading a group of volunteers.
They searched the property.
What? Are you fucking kidding me? This, Ashley Martin looking for her son Alex all over again. They had to bring their own searchers and do their own search, and law enforcement did not even assist. Are you fucking kidding me? Unbelievable and unacceptable. Disgusting. Emphasis on the ink.
And they come up with nothing.
Eventually, authorities did search the property, but not until the following week, and say they too found not a trace of evidence. But time matters in a missing person case, because evidence fades, and so can the memories of potential witnesses.
The night that this occurred, do you recall seeing anything outside your property on this road before it entered the Harrington property?
No, I did not see it.
Talking with neighbors last summer, we also asked if their security cameras captured anything unusual the night of the crash. But nearly a year later, there was little chance any video would still exist, unless investigators pulled it immediately after the car was found.
I'm going to make this statement because it's going to mean something to you. Not one officer of any kind ever come to my house and asked me anything about what I seen.
If investigators had
Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my gosh. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
asked, the neighbor says he would have told them about his involvement in the search and what he overheard the property owners say about a possible sighting of a second car on the property.
They asked her, did you get license plate number? She said, no, it's going so fast, I didn't have time for that. All I seen was a taillight leaving out.
If that's true, it means Caitlin wasn't alone. How did a witness who was at the scene get overlooked? Are there others? And what does it say about the thoroughness of the overall investigation? Any statements from the scene?
It says that it's shit. It's a shit investigation by some shit. That's what it says. Sorry, Tourette's.
Lie deep in the files that OSBI refuses to share with us. So we went straight to the source.
We heard the dogs. I'd walked outside and felt pretty certain that it was a vehicle leaving the property, as far as there being dust in the air and then hearing a vehicle leaving. So I don't know for a fact that's what I saw. It was really dark. All you could see was dust. It was probably closer to 11 o'clock at night.
Could you tell which way the dust was going? Like, was it leaving the
vehicle
property?
Was leaving the property.
The owners are reluctant to say much more for fear of retaliation amidst ongoing criticism in this case.
I think they're covering it up.
The Harringtons are prominent landowners in the county. Gordon and others believe they're using
They're fucking what? Prominent landowners in the area. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, okay. Well, I'll just let that sink in. I digress. Bub Wilcoxon all over again. Who said that? I don't know. Sounded like Ruben.
connections with law enforcement amidst ongoing criticism in this case.
I think they're covering it up.
The Harringtons are prominent landowners in the county. Gordon and others believe they're using connections with law enforcement to conceal their involvement in Caitlin's disappearance, an accusation the Harringtons vehemently deny. So far, there's little evidence to support the allegation, and to show they have nothing to hide, they invited us to look around the property, which we did.
We found 2 more pieces of the car down there.
The fact that we easily found parts of Caitlin's car.
Okay, I can't take much more. Like, it's got me Twitter-pated and I'm fucking stumbling over my words. I'm so absolutely just irate. There was fucking pieces of the car there when the news went and looked around like, what the fuck are you doing? Woosah.
Underscored nagging concerns about the thoroughness of the OSBI investigation, while our own investigation had us trying to pick up any breadcrumbs of evidence from the route she'd taken.
Whenever she saw me coming, she just took off at a high rate of speed,
leading to potentially critical new discoveries.
As we delve deeper into this mysterious disappearance, the haunting last image of Caitlin, and the startling connection to her hometown.
She said that she was trying to get away from a bad person.
Plus, our team talks with a new witness who swears she saw Caitlin not once, but twice.
Are you driving way less than you used to? Do you have a clean driving record? Are you over 25? Do you
On August 12th, 2022, 1 week into Caitlin Case's disappearance, the phone rang. It was just before 7 p.m. at Choctaw County Dispatch.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I need you to take some notes here.
Okay.
An unusual time for tragic news to come calling.
Caitlin Case, the missing girl from Louisiana, has been found
off of 109 at Frogville and go south on 4340 Road.
Hugo Police Chief John Mitchell was on the line with a potential break in the case.
OSBI, everybody's down there. But it's going to be a fatality car crash, and she's inside the vehicle.
It had taken a full week to find Caitlin Case's car crashed on a private ranch at the end of that dusty dead-end road a couple miles off Highway 109.
We're getting close to sewing this up, right? So we go up to the vehicle.
Investigators thought this would be case closed, but what they were about to discover only deepened the mystery.
Long story short, the car's empty.
Caitlin was still missing.
We don't know exactly what we have at that point.
For Caitlin's father, Gordon, the disappointing discovery pushed his mind to a dark place. He began wondering if perhaps someone had abducted Caitlin. Was she being held captive somewhere? Was she dead? In despair and disbelief, he checked the car for himself.
Everything she owned was in it. Her phones, her clothing, everything she packed, her tools. A lot of stuff.
The only thing missing was a strong lead. Still, there were clues. Caitlin's jeans were inside out, wrapped around the car's center console. A haunting image that left Gordon with a nagging feeling that something very bad happened to his daughter.
Every day it's rough.
It's okay, take your time. I know it's tough.
Someone did this to her.
Whoever did it, Gordon says, had plenty of time to cover their tracks because of what he says were investigative failures at every level. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, Choctaw County Sheriff's Office, and Hugo Police.
They never processed this as a crime scene from day one. They never roped it off, taped it off, kept people from going back. There was day.
If they had.
They didn't rope it off, tie it off, and keep people from going back there. Well, gee, that sounds to be the OSBI. It's the way of doing things. Let's just fuck shit up. Because that's the only thing I can say they're good at this point. I said what I fucking said.
He says they might have found footprints or other evidence that could have helped determine what happened to Caitlin. The processing of the car, he says, was no better.
There's no DNA either. But they only swabbed the steering wheel and the shifter.
From the looks of it, investigators tore apart the car, determined to find something, but Gordon says they came up empty-handed.
There was no fingerprints in the vehicle at all.
Other than Caitlin's. The OSBI lifted 2 viable fingerprints from the rearview mirror, and a partial palm print was located on the front passenger window, but it didn't generate any useful information. Investigators were coming up with their own theories, and word was getting out around town.
After the car had been processed and stuff, he said they found drugs and drug paraphernalia. And
did they state an amount of drugs?
No, he did not.
A drug pipe was found wrapped in a blue bandana underneath the car, but forensic testing never determined if it was Caitlin's. The evidence was non-conclusive, but Gordon insists.
There was no drugs in the vehicle. We know that from day one.
He'll admit his daughter had struggled with meth, but says she was putting that behind her.
She just wanted to get her life back on track.
Which is why she was driving from Louisiana to Colorado in the first place.
She got mixed up with some bad characters and was dabbling in things she shouldn't have been.
Poor choices in her early 20s and 30s led to several run-ins with the law, DUIs, drug possession, and resisting arrest before she went to rehab and moved to Colorado. Caitlin was 3 months sober and by all accounts on the right path when she flew back to Louisiana July 31st to buy a car. Her father expected she'd turn right around and drive back to her new life.
She was procrastinating. She was hanging out with some of those bad characters, and it made me very mad.
Gordon says it took some convincing, but Caitlin began the journey back to the mountains August 4th, 2022. She made it as far as Gainesville, Texas, before apparently having second thoughts. Surveillance cameras at a roadside gas station captured one of the last images of Caitlin as she stopped to FaceTime with a friend for more than an hour. One her family says was from her former drug circle. It's not clear what was said, but Caitlin began backtracking toward Louisiana after that.
She said her GPS got hacked, which we know that didn't happen.
Caitlin was lost. By noon, August 5th, Gordon was on the phone trying to help her navigate the back roads, sending screenshots of his atlas with specific instructions.
I had circled everywhere she needed to call me when she got to that point.
The consistent check-ins were to assure him that Caitlin remained on track. They spoke in Mount Pleasant, Texas, as she headed toward Bogota, a place Gordon now sees as a turning point, literally and figuratively.
The best I can think is that happened is that she encountered somebody that she trusted.
Because when Caitlin left Bogota, she deviated from her intended route. We started digging around to find out who she might have crossed paths with at the local businesses. Before long, we were given a name and found a number for a potential witness.
She said she had just left from down there. I don't know if she meant Louisiana, Shreveport.
The woman vividly recalled her encounter with a woman she believes was Caitlin.
She acted like she was really scared.
Melanie Cherry was working the register at a store in Bogota when she says Caitlin came inside needing help.
She was in a bad way. She was trying to get away from a bad person. So I asked her, like, is he out there? Is he with you? And she said no. He was not with her, but she was afraid he was following her.
Then, seeing her react nervously to the engine of a passing truck, Cherry says she offered Caitlin a safe place in the store.
She said no. She was kind of afraid that he might see her vehicle and come in there.
Cherry says Caitlin then left the store abruptly in a white SUV, not her black Envoy, but returned shortly after with an even more heightened sense of urgency.
She said that she had to get away and she needed to get someplace far away.
Caitlin made a second swift departure from the store. By this time, Gordon was concerned. It was after 5 p.m. and Caitlin should have made it to their next checkpoint. So he gave her a call.
She was already past Bogota, obviously, and down in that Cunningham Solar area on a back road going nowhere. And to be that calm and not tell me, Papa, I'm lost, you know, or be concerned where she was. She absolutely wasn't concerned at all.
He couldn't have known it then, but that call would be their last.
Greetings, naturopathy Dr. Dennis Black here for Rough Greens. Please like, subscribe.
As Caitlin made a wrong turn onto a gravel road, an 8-mile loop around a solar farm, the call with her father dropped, and she never made a call again. In hindsight, Gordon wonders if she was following someone. Someone was following her, or worse, someone was already in the car. Caitlin spent nearly 2 hours in the solar farm, but it's not clear what she did there. We tried to fill in the time gap, starting with the witness who claimed Caitlin pulled into his driveway just after 6 p.m. on August 5th. Zach Smith wasn't home when we stopped by, so we spoke on the phone.
Are y'all sitting out there at my house now?
Security cameras notified him of our arrival, but he says they weren't working the night in question.
The internet wasn't working at that time. Dogs started barking. By the time I opened the door, she had, I guess, gassed it and hit that embankment right there to get back on the road.
Smith went after her.
Anyway, I got her to stop. She got her windows rolled down. She seemed kind of scared.
He says she looked like she hadn't slept in days, so he asked if she was lost or in need of help.
She said she was fine, didn't want me to call anybody. And then she told me that she was working with the guys that were cutting hay. And at that time, I was like, okay, you know, maybe she's got a legit reason to be here.
But the statement raises legitimate questions. Caitlin had never cut hay before and wasn't a part of a hay cutting crew. There were some crews working on the solar farm, but based on our reconstruction of her route, her encounter with Zach Smith took place before she drove around the solar farm, before she would have seen the hay cutters. So why would she have said that? Was she communicating with one of the guys cutting hay? We continued around the solar farm loop just as she did.
I couldn't understand why she come to Cunningham to start with. It's just the solar panels, there's lots of workers here.
Like so many we've met, he was careful about what he said and asked us to conceal his identity. He says the solar farm has brought on scores of workers, such that the people installing panels outnumber the people who live here.
And there's lots and lots of workers here, and I don't know if she knew any of them.
It's possible. Kiewit Corporation was the contractor for the solar farm at the time.
I don't know what's going on. I don't know nothing about the case.
Which a quick search of the internet showed has an office in Caitlin's hometown of Houma, Louisiana. It's possible she knew someone working in the area.
Development keeps up with every landowner, keeps up with every person that they allowed to do hay cutting.
We asked the company to review its security cameras to see who, if anyone, she may have encountered or met up with on their property.
You all set? Thank you, sir.
They declined our request. With only a digital footprint to follow, we tried to clarify the timing of her movements by talking with neighbors.
What was her name again? It's Caitlin. Caitlin Case. Caitlin Rose Case. Anyone else live here with you that?
Well, they're all gone at this moment.
Possible sightings by residents suggest a timeline significantly different from the one investigators created based on Caitlin's cell phone records.
Like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning that somebody had seen her. I don't know it was her, but I know I got a person that come to my door the same night, the last time I seen her.
Cell data suggests Caitlin left the solar farm by 7 p.m., or at the very least, her car and phones did, because within the next hour, her phone connected to Wi-Fi about 10 miles away to the northwest. We checked with the Lamar County Sheriff for any reports of Caitlin's car after that and found this.
Hello?
Yes, Mr. Ray.
Yes.
Hey, Deputy Van Sheriff with Lamar County Sheriff's Office.
A report of suspicious activity from near Jennings, Texas, which it happens is about 10 miles northwest of Cunningham. It was just after sunset, 8:36 p.m., August 5th.
My dispatcher briefed me on about the vehicle that was in front of your property there.
I've got the license plate and description of the vehicle. It's a Louisiana plate, 957.
The landowner, Ray Roberts, then said this about the driver.
She was really dangerous. I mean, she's whacked out on something, or just really, really afraid of being found out about something. I guarantee you that, because she was running through people's lawns and jumping ditches, and I mean, just crazy stuff.
Roberts hadn't immediately called 911. He followed the car through Jennings to Paris before turning around. He reported the incident about a half hour after the fact.
He said, I couldn't even stay with her because she was driving so fast.
Pursuing this lead, Hugo Detective Billy Jenkins followed the information across state lines to interview Roberts.
At this point, we think he's the only person that had actually laid eyes on her.
And Jenkins learned he'd actually gone a step further.
He said, I took my phone out and I took a picture of her, which he had with him. So there's a photo of this young missing lady, and she's alone in the vehicle.
The photo isn't clear, but Robert's own recollection of the driver was fairly detailed. When a year later, we asked him about his initial statements to investigators.
I told him that I thought it might have been a female, but I couldn't be certain, and possibly tattoos on the arm.
Caitlin did have tattoos, but not on her arms. The dragonfly on her left foot, dragon on her rib cage, and triangle on her back would have been essentially impossible for Roberts to see, raising the question of how he knew about her tattoos, or whether it was someone else behind the wheel. A tenuous lead, but one we followed to Ray Roberts' doorstep.
She saw me coming, she just took off at a high rate of speed, like a bat out of hell, and
man,
just.
I mean, we're from Louisiana.
That was about it.
Oh, really? You're from Louisiana too?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, and
but I don't want to get into all of this.
If it was anything more than pure coincidence that Caitlin, with her Louisiana roots, showed up on the property of another Louisianan at the end of a rural dead-end road in Texas, Roberts didn't give us the chance to ask.
It's rolling for safety purposes, yes.
Well, no, you're going to have to get rid of that.
Okay.
What seemed like a dead end would end up leading our team down a completely new road. Still ahead, we uncover a potentially critical oversight.
An uninvestigated report leading to a crucial gap in Caitlin's whereabouts.
CookUnity is a direct-to-chef marketplace. Choose from hundreds of weekly menu items.
back on the trail that we'd been running down for months. We noticed Caitlin's driving patterns, if in fact she was the one behind the wheel, became more unpredictable after her car reached Paris.
She didn't drive directly to Paris, obviously. She went, up and down back roads for whatever reason. There's really no way of knowing what she was thinking.
Through data state investigators have turned over to Caitlin's family and which they have given to us, we know that her phones pinged to nearly a dozen Wi-Fi locations around Paris between 8:40 and 9:30 that night, including heavily frequented areas, even the city's most iconic landmark.
The oddity of that is that she didn't have any interaction with law enforcement. She wasn't pulled over. She wasn't questioned. She wasn't asked, why are you on this parking lot at 3 o'clock in the morning? Are you okay?
The car then traveled on an unknown path toward Oklahoma. For more than an hour, her phones went undetected. Not one hit was made to a cell tower or Wi-Fi connection in the 50 miles to the state line. We couldn't account for the time gap due to our investigative limitations. If the OSBI was able to fill in the blank, they were not sharing it with us. The agency denied our every request for information, including questions about its social media post within a week of Caitlin's disappearance. In August 2022, the OSBI expressed concern someone other than Caitlin was in control of the vehicle as it entered Oklahoma. It's not known if investigators have come to any conclusion as to who was driving. We do know, courtesy of phone data from the family, once in Oklahoma, her car traveled east on Highway 109.
911, what's the emergency?
Before it turned down a rural road toward the Red River.
We live out here in Presgrove, and there's somebody that's on drugs or drunk or something. We live down here in the middle of nowhere, and they were out in our cow pasture just ripping around.
A few minutes before 11 p.m., at least 2 neighbors called police to report a suspicious, potentially dangerous driver.
They're hitting the brakes, slowing down, speeding up, about hit the stand.
Then suddenly, according to one caller, the car changed course and sped across the highway, ignoring the stop sign and racing toward the Kiamichi River.
I'm going to say they're in pretty bad shape.
Okay, I'll let them know.
All right, thanks.
Unfortunately, we discovered Choctaw County never dispatched anyone that night. It's not clear why, but we were told the dispatcher was only reprimanded and still handles emergency calls for the county. Whether neglecting to send an officer to investigate was malicious or an innocent mistake, it not only had potential consequences for whoever was in the car, it also complicated the investigation in the early stages.
I was looking for Lisa Monahan with News 9.
Okay.
Been trying to get in touch with you. I know there were a couple of 911 calls that from there on 4340 Road, I believe it was suspicious activity, driving through a pasture. Does any of this sound familiar to you?
I have heard that.
But that didn't come into your office or to your dispatch?
Not to my knowledge. No, ma'am.
So
if there was, then there would be some type of report on it, but there's nothing that I know of that we even made a report on. I mean, it went straight from Hugo Police Department to the OSBI.
Choctaw County Sheriff Terry Park acknowledged all agencies route their calls through his communication center, which serves as a central hub for coordinating assistance in the county. But he could not account for the oversight.
When that case came in, the Hugo Police Department, why them? It wasn't even their jurisdiction. Well, really, I don't know whose jurisdiction, but they took it, whatever little bit they might have done, and then the OSBI took over. I don't even know if we even made a report.
If anyone in law enforcement had actually been dispatched when the calls came into the Choctaw County Communication Center, they might have been able to intercept the driver.
They've been at this for a while doing some changes.
A possibility that's certainly not lost on Caitlin's father.
We don't know who was in that vehicle. We don't know if my daughter was dead or alive in that vehicle, or she was being taken up to the other property where they dumped the vehicle and being murdered. We never would know that because the 911 call was never put out to any dispatch to go out there and look into this.
Over the course of the investigation, I have routinely checked in with Gordon via FaceTime to let him know what we've found and to get his thoughts.
I know that you've been personally investigating this to the best of your ability, being so many states away, but what at this point do you think happened to Caitlin?
They are totally be responsible because they could have stopped something possibly that could have stopped this from even happening.
A critical 44-minute lapse occurred between the witness reporting the car near the Red River and the eventual crash opposite the highway at the Kiamichi River.
I believe that they tried to take that vehicle down to the Red River just south of the 109, and they couldn't get access to that river.
That is one possible explanation. When looking at digital maps, North 4340 Road appears to run close to the Red River, when in reality it doesn't. A view from above the area reveals the road stops short of the river. Traveling the opposite direction, however, the road runs straight to the Kiamichi.
Didn't end up on that property for no reason. They knew exactly where to launch that vehicle, exactly where to go behind that moving place from the property with the hill.
If true, who did it and why? Perhaps someone on 4340 Road got a look at the driver.
I never seen the car or nothing. My neighbors down here, they said they went out in their pasture. Somebody didn't know who it was. They were driving all around in circles out there in the pasture, hitting in the cow hole.
Residents couldn't say for sure and provided no evidence to show Caitlin was actually in the car that night. But they did provide information pointing to a remarkable chain of errors, incompetence, and oversight. Not only did investigators fail to follow up with known witnesses in the area, no one, according to neighbors, had ever searched the pasture where her car was last seen. So we did what law enforcement hadn't done, scour the pastures for any sign of Caitlin, or any potential evidence that might have been tossed from the car.
A turning point in the investigation found at the end of a long and dusty road, and the legal wrangling it took for our team to get there. When Missing Case returns.
The truth waits patiently to be discovered in the year-long search for Caitlin Case.
Her parents say to this point, the investigation could be summarized by overlooked leads and potential negligence by law enforcement. One oversight may actually hold the key to unraveling Caitlin's disappearance.
Here once again, Lisa Monahan.
With the year-long mystery still unfolding along the river's edge, critical questions were surfacing.
Go find it.
Why hadn't anyone searched the pasture where witnesses last reported seeing her car less than an hour before it was abandoned?
I never seen nobody in there. No agents.
Just because law enforcement hadn't searched the pasture didn't mean we couldn't. To salvage any evidence that was possibly tossed from the car that night or buried there, a year later, we'd need more than an investigative eye. It would take a well-trained nose. We brought in Justice, a canine specially trained to detect clandestine graves.
The chemical compounds of human decomposition are so unique that the dog is able to identify that. The thing about odor is odor arises. If a body's buried 6 feet deep and it's decomposed for a long time, that odor will surface to the top. Whether it be through water or if there was a dead animal buried on top of a person, the dog is able to tell the different chemical compounds. That's just how sensitive they are. Justice
explored the area beyond this well-trodden path to the river, scouring the thick brush and checking along the property line with no luck. But word of our investigation spread, and pretty soon we were following leads in nearly every direction. The first was roughly 15 miles away.
It's this dead-end little road right across the border.
Roebuck Lake is just off Highway 271 near the Choctaw Casino, a spot known to the locals as a hotbed for criminal activity.
It's been treated like a public lake, and it has been the site, I fear, of many girls being abused for many years.
Stacy Harley says her family owns the lake, but a county road allows the public to access it in a secluded area.
You go down there, and there's spent condoms, needles, girls' clothes.
She's been trying to get the county to close that road for years, but says the requests are often met with indifference. So she's trying to police it herself.
It looks pretty good, though.
On August 9th, 2022, 4 days after Caitlin disappeared, Stacy took video of an inconspicuous car, then approached the male driver.
A female reared up in the back of the seat behind him and could barely hold herself up.
Unaware of Caitlin's disappearance at the time, Stacy says she questioned the driver, thinking whoever the woman was, she might be in trouble.
I didn't realize you had someone in the car. And he says, oh, that's my wife. I said, well, she doesn't look very well.
Stacy says she immediately notified authorities, but they didn't take her seriously. She's not sure why, but thinks it could be because she'd been embroiled in a water rights dispute concerning Roebuck Lake, with coincidentally the same people who own the property where Caitlin's car was found. Stacy is now convinced the woman in the car was Caitlin. There's no other evidence to support that conclusion, but Stacy's story certainly suggests that personal grudges and legal entanglements may have played a role in the oversight of potentially critical information.
If they're all going to say that this is what happened and Stacy's crazy and not credible, then okay then. What about the other people that are missing around here? How many more do you want to look for while you're here?
Most people just turn right around, and like he was here 7 minutes, which isn't long either. People know that people have cameras on their place.
For now, we remain focused on Caitlin Case and another possibly overlooked lead.
There's not any reason to come down this road unless you're coming to my place, basically, because that's the only thing down at the end of it.
We arrived at this potential connection between Caitlin's disappearance and another highly publicized missing person.
I had a guy show up in a van on my camera.
It was August 6th, the morning after Caitlin went missing, when a trail camera on Jerry Ritchie's property about 15 miles south of Paris captured something out of the ordinary. This unknown man in a white van drove down a seemingly private road, past the cornfields, and right up to his gate.
He was at the gate for about 7 minutes, and then, he pulled up, got out, apparently walked up to the gate.
The gate is just out of the camera's view, so it's not clear what the man was doing there. Ritchie says he didn't give it much thought until 2 weeks later, when he saw the OSBI's Facebook post asking for any video along Caitlin's route.
The time frame is unusual, that this guy shows up the day after this lady went missing.
Ritchie says he immediately sent the information to the OSBI, but never heard back.
So we got to, investigate and all we could, and we decided after that we would come out and look. This is 2 weeks later.
Ritchie and his family didn't notice anything unusual, but with no official search by police, they were concerned and consequently sent the tip to Caitlin's family.
We just thought we would try to help because like I said, there's been other people come up missing in this area.
The first case that came to his mind was Allie Burris, a young woman who vanished in 2015 while traveling Highway 271 in the same area of Texas. The cases were eerily similar. 2 hours of her travel went unaccounted for before Burris became lost in a remote area, crashed her car, and called 911 for help.
Be advised, I'm on 911 with a young lady who's had a 1050 major. She's not sure of her location. It's going to be somewhere off of 1924. Her phone's pinging in the middle of a field. She advised all she can see is fields at this time.
The search teams eventually found the car abandoned in a cornfield, but no Allie. A month earlier, she had filed a lawsuit against local law enforcement, which proceeded despite her having vanished. 2 years later, a jury ruled in the officer's favor. And then, strangely, within a few months, Allie's remains turned up in an area that had previously been searched. The coroner was unable to determine how she died.
It seemed like there's a lot of weird stuff going on.
Apparently, law enforcement didn't look into Johnny Hall's tip either, which he also sent in 2 weeks after Caitlin went missing. The same day the OSBI posted her missing person flyer.
And I looked at the flyer and I told my wife, I said, I've seen this lady before, and I was dead positive. I knew that was her. I mean, it was the beauty mark on her face give it away.
Hall says he reported a possible sighting of Caitlin in a white SUV at a gas station in Paris, Texas during the early hours of August 17, 2022, almost 2 weeks after she went missing. But no one followed up.
We'd seen a white SUV broke down, and in the passenger side seat, there was a young lady that was crying. And when the two other ladies that was with her approached us and asked if we'd had jumper cables.
Their car trouble, he says, put him face to face with the distressed woman.
I said, I don't know what you're going through, but it can't be all that bad. Just keep your head up and keep going. And the two ladies that was with her said, oh, she's fine. She's just going through some things right now, and the car's messed up, and she's a long way from home.
Both would have been true for Caitlin, but he says the other women didn't give her a chance to speak. In hindsight, Hall believes the woman was Caitlin Case and she was being held against her will.
I tried to call the number that's on there, the OSBI, but no one ever, I guess after hours, nobody answered the phone.
Hall says he had to call several more times before finally getting to speak to an agent who then questioned his credibility.
He just said, you know, like everything I would tell him, you sure you saw her? You're 100% positive. And I said, yes, sir, I did see her.
He says investigators never took an official statement from him and didn't ask for a description of the two other women. He says one was blonde, one brunette, both about 5'7", in their 30s, and with visible tattoos.
One of them was tattooed on the shoulder and around the neck area, like maybe some Old English, but I couldn't read it.
Hall also described distinct tattoos on the second woman.
They were just random, little knick-knack like cat print, you know, little footprint, deer print.
The tattoos could be significant since the witness in the last confirmed sighting of Caitlin's car described the driver as having visible tattoos, which Caitlin does not. Hall's description of a white SUV also checks back to the store clerk's description in Bogota, less than 20 miles away. Remember, she saw Caitlin leave in a white SUV after asking for help getting away from someone. Not to mention, two cars were said to be involved when her car crashed. Hall's information could have helped authorities identify and question the women he saw in a white SUV, even if it was only to rule them out. The family questioned investigators as to why they failed to follow up on leads in this case.
That OSBI officer decided to say, oh, no, well, they're not credible because it was way too long after the fact. The people didn't even know about it until OSBI announced it on the bulletin, and that was on the 19th of August. And that same day, those people contacted OSBI through email.
This is the bulletin he's referring to, a post on the OSBI's Facebook page. More than a year passed without any updates to it, so as we routinely do, we asked the OSBI for an update. Specifically, whether investigators still believe, as they indicated in the post, that someone other than Caitlin was driving her car when she crossed into Oklahoma. With the public's interest in mind, we also asked for any updated information on her route, stops, and interactions. All requests were denied.
You know OSBI's policy, with an open case, we don't have to tell you nothing. It's very convenient for them, isn't it?
While the OSBI is exempt from releasing records from an open case, we also asked for more general information about other people who had recently gone missing in Choctaw County. Who were they, and was anyone looking for them?
The former president is a threat to our most fundamental freedoms. He has openly said
Human remains were discovered near the Kiamichi River in Choctaw County, just a stone's throw from where Caitlin Case's car was found last August.
News 9's Lisa Monahan has been investigating her disappearance for months.
The discovery of human remains in 2023, a potentially major development, happened one day after authorities had been forced to release the case records we had invested months of legal wrangling trying to get. The timing was either an unusual coincidence, or as Caitlin's father Gordon believes, too unusual to be a coincidence.
You know what's very suspicious is that only a day after or so after the pressure's on, now we have a body. Don't you think that's a little bit odd? And all this time gone by, over a year, and all of a sudden now you've got a little bit of heat, and oh, wow, look, we've got a body.
A rancher riding horseback October 13th on the property just across the river, about a half mile from where Caitlin's car was discovered in August 2022, noticed what looked like part of a human skull and called police. In a further search of the area, investigators located more remains, a tattered bra and shorts.
I think they thought, number one, if we found it, it would pretty much crush us, and we would maybe lay off a little bit.
To Gordon, it seemed too calculated and left him questioning the credibility of this sudden revelation.
I said from day one that they were going to have to bring her there at some point. They were going to have to find her in that area to make their story come true.
Law enforcement had long been pushing the theory that Caitlin crashed her car and then escaped into the dark depths of the heavily wooded area, leaving behind her shoes, wallet, and phones.
But you know what? We're not going to believe that. I don't believe that for 1 minute.
If the remains were Caitlin's and weren't placed there by someone trying to cover up a crime, investigators would have to be able to explain how, after crashing her car, Caitlin, barefoot, made a difficult descent down the 40-foot embankment, swam across the river, climbed up the other side, and made it several hundred yards before collapsing in a hayfield, just short of a nearby house.
That's just nonsense. This never happened. No, they planted her there after the fact. I don't know if it was days after, months after, but either way, she didn't do this on her own.
Gordon has no proof of his allegations. The Oklahoma State Medical Examiner was able to prove through dental records that however they got there, the remains were those of his daughter, Caitlin. One mystery solved, Caitlin was no longer missing, but another mystery only made deeper. What happened to Caitlin? How did she die? And had she been in the pasture all along just begging for a proper search? In 2022, within a week of Caitlin's disappearance, investigators supposedly searched the river and land in the area, telling the parents they'd looked at every level with drones, boats, and on foot.
I walk the river as best you can. There's places where you can't get too close because it's dangerous.
Detective Billy Jenkins' earlier statements about the river search take on new significance since the discovery of Caitlin on the opposite side, raising questions as to how she could have crossed it after the car accident that night, and without leaving any trail behind.
No footprints in the sand, no footprints in the mud. There was nothing that would point to anybody being. That doesn't mean that somebody didn't go in the water.
From the air, even across the river, the chances of spotting someone or something seemed higher. How would the drones have missed Caitlin if she'd been there all along? One possible explanation, the skull was found on the property line.
Sheriff's Department's OSBI is all they asked me to let them in, and I let them in. That's all I did.
Landowners on both sides of the fence refused to discuss the discovery, let alone acknowledge it even happened.
You didn't find the skull?
No.
Do you know who did?
I didn't even know if it was a skull found or what. I ain't heard anybody found it. All I heard saying was cops. Okay.
Without access to their private property, it was difficult to understand how no one found Caitlin there for more than a year. We gained a little insight from speaking with a neighbor by phone about the discovery.
She don't go there at all. She just happened to be riding horses because this year we had they needed to excavate. They cut that field there next to where that skull was. They haven't cut that field in years.
Uncut until the summer of 2023. It's plausible the high grass had hidden Caitlin's body all that time. But who cut the hay? And as implausible as it might seem, could there be a connection to Caitlin's mysterious detour through the Cunningham solar farm?
She said she was fine, didn't want me to call anybody, and then she told me that she was working with the guys that were cutting hay.
Hopefully the autopsy would provide some clarity.
And now we want to update you on an investigation we've been following closely. The state medical examiner now says Caitlin Case died right around the time of her reported disappearance in August 2022. Cause of death is still undetermined. Her full autopsy will...
The cause of death is still undetermined. So frustrating for Caitlin's family to hear. But with only a partial skeleton to examine, the pathologist faced real challenges in determining how Caitlin died.
And like I said to you before, they're going to plant that body when they needed to come forward. And I told you that it was going to be after there was nothing left of evidence on her.
The autopsy revealed Caitlin's remains, what was left of them, were scattered in the field and damaged from being crushed and moved by farm equipment after her death, consistent with the hay cutting theory.
We'll never know what happened to her.
Determining foul play is harder with skeletal remains, as it requires evidence such as a knife nicking a bone or a bullet lodging in a skull, none of which was found. Still, there were remnants of clothing recovered nearby, a bra and shorts. Caitlin's parents now put their last shred of hope in the examination of those and made a request for DNA testing. But the OSBI had no intention of conducting additional forensic analysis and informed Caitlin's parents via email, which read in part, "There is no evidence that anyone other than Caitlin was involved in her disappearance. Therefore, no further laboratory analysis will be conducted. And the OSBI investigation is in the process of being closed." It wasn't received well.
Something totally not right about what's going on there in that area. And there needs to be an investigation above this investigation.
Gordon says the investigation never aimed to uncover relevant evidence or actually seek justice for Caitlin.
It's not just my child. I'm speaking for every family out there going through what I'm going through. This is not right, and something needs to be done about it.
He insists he won't allow this missing person case to become just another case closed in an area where missing persons are alarmingly common and where people, he says, seem to be getting away with murder.
I'm going to get to the bottom of it. I don't care till it takes me to the day I die.
Law enforcement may have closed the case of Caitlin's mysterious disappearance and death, but for her parents, the case is still very much open. They reject investigators' conclusions and the secrecy under which they reach them. And they tell me they intend to continue trying to uncover what they are sure was foul play in Caitlin's last moments of life. As for our efforts to find the truth, despite being stonewalled and denied access to vital details, the possibility of exposing the full story of Caitlin's tragic end is still out there, contingent upon the right people coming forward. Carl, Amanda?
If you recognize anyone or have any information to help propel this case forward, you can email us at newsdesk@griffin.news.
Thanks for watching this special report, and you can join us each weeknight on News 9.
Oh, why aren't they texting me back? Are they mad at me? Do they not like me anymore? I'm scared to ask for reassurance.
Who killed Noah at Presgrove?
Democrat. Only.
Is Noah here with me? Who killed Noah at Presgrove?
Democratic Party. For the problem.
Can you give me a name or names?
Second bottom. President Zelensky.
Who was with Noah's body at the time he was dying, please?
With each election.
What weapon was used on Noah, please? Or object?
Don't speak. There's 6
Did Brylan, Isaac, or Mike have anything to do with your death, Noah? Spirit, what happened to Noah Presgrove?
Just one. Presentation. Kill them.
Who murdered Noah?
She could be one of his. The First Lady. There.
What weapons were used on him, please? Or what objects?
Fixed.
You hear, Noah? What happened to you, Noah? That night of the party?
Pitch Kennel. Stinson Joseph.
Who killed you? I know you mentioned your best friend's name a few times when I asked you that question, Noah. Who else was with him at the time you were dying?
Yeah, he loves. Few pages.
Who left the house and was with you? Is Noah here?
Summer.
What weapons or objects were used on you, Noah?
Brother, first, I picked up. Believe.
Who were the two men with the service truck and that Cade and Pressy saw? Who were those men? They told Caden to F off, basically, and the boys that were with him in the car. Who was the man with the beard? Do you know? Did Jack know those men, do you know? Wow. Did Jack call those men?
Players and who've been attacked.
Who removed your shorts? Hang on. Who took off your black shorts? Spirit, who took off Noah's shorts when he was lying on the road?
Was grieved. Then came just with the players and friend.
Who put him on the road like that?
Did he inspire?
Who killed Noah?
Exceeding the fun.
Who had a fight? Who was Noah fighting with?
He's full of people that.
Okay, ladies, I know I'm not alone when I say having large boobs can be such a struggle.
How many people know all the details, exactly what happened to Noah?
The walls. The freshly. Not.
Was Mikey or Mike involved in any way in Noah's death? Did he contribute to the fight, to the killing? Does he know information? What does he know anything? Did he have anything to do with it? Allegedly.
What it made over the years. I'm gonna shout it. Really?
What about Brylan? Brylan Sweat. Allegedly, did he have anything to do with your death, Noah?
And you know that to I see you. Miss Leather.
Did Isaac have anything to do with your death?
Hips away.
Did Isaac allegedly have anything to do with your death, Noah? Who was there killing you, Noah? Who was a witness and who was there actually doing it? Give me names, please. Is Caden Pressy telling the truth, Noah? Caden's being a voice for you right now. He's calling out Jack on some stuff.
More importantly,
do you know everyone that was involved in your murder?
surrounded without Newcastle.
Were those your golf clubs in Caleb Newton's scrap pile, scrap yard? Were golf clubs used as a weapon on you?
The wind was blowing.
Why?
Where are the golf clubs now, do you know?
To me, because he was.
Spirit, where are the golf clubs?
Was ours. And here.
Oh, hello, Noah. Sorry. Do you know where the golf clubs are?
Discretion.
Are they still in Caleb's scrapyard?
Bang.
How did one of the golf clubs get really bent?
Through the.
Were you hit in the back of the head with one of those? Or anywhere on you were you hit with a golf club?
San Francisco.
Can you tell me, please, who else was involved, please, Noah, in your death?
7 years.
Who saw you die? Who witnessed it?
England game.
Was there a girl there with you at the time you were dying? Do you know who was there at the time you were being killed, Noah? They were either doing it to you or watching.
So it came about.
Where were you taken? Where did it all happen when you were being beat up? Or whatever was happening to you? Where were you?
It cannot be. What does that? Never.
Were you taken into a shed or anything, or some kind of barn or building besides the house, the party house?
Blaze out, blustering.
Can you please tell me why they killed you, Noah?
Competition is seated.
Caden saw you at about 3 in the morning, I think it was, playing beer pong with some mates in the dining room of Avery's house, and then he fell asleep. What happened after that beer pong game?
Tournament started.
Did you leave the house after that beer pong game?
Tournament.
So was there some kind of competition game, play fighting or something you were doing that turned into a bad thing, did it? Who was in competition with you? Was this just a wrestling fight or some kind of fight you were having that just turned really bad?
If you want to feel your energy levels skyrocket, you've got to try out this organ complex by Paleo Valley.
Was it just a play fight that turned bad, Noah?
And we know.
Did you know them? Was there a fight over a girl?
Calling you from.
Who followed you out from the house?
I shall.
Did you come across somebody doing something they shouldn't have at the party? Is that why this happened? Some people are saying that you came across an adult with a minor. Is that true? Like, you know, in sexual relations. Is that true? Did that happen, Noah? Did you call Avery fat? Trying to put the story together. Did you actually call her fat or did you insult her? Do you remember doing that? Did Avery kick you out of bed? Did she not let you in her bed? Did you get upset with that, and is that why you left? We want to know why you left the house. Is that true? Did you leave the house upset? Did you leave Avery's house at 3 in the morning upset because she didn't let you in her bed?
Not run.
Did anything happen between you and Carter? Anything romantic, sexual that night? We're just trying to understand what's happened to you, Noah, and why.
Sun's rays down big story.
Are you saying she was a witness to what happened to you? What do you want to say to Jack?
And proceeded.
Is there anything you want to say to Jack? You told me in the other spirit sessions, Noah, that Jack actually did this to you. Is that true? Did he kill you? Allegedly?
Well.
You pushed him, did you say? Did somebody cause issues by saying things and causing trouble between you and Jack?
The evening was normally.
Was Jack's father at the party? Or did he come in the morning when Jack called him? What do you want to say to Caleb Newton?
I saw there's a man.
What do you want to say to Jack's dad, Caleb Newton? Did he have anything to do with your death, Noah? What do you think of Caleb Newton, Noah? Which adults are covering up the truth who know the truth of what happened to you, Noah? What do you want to say to Isaac?
Elaine, screaming for... Or maybe more... Still... Yeah, kind of...
Can you please tell me who killed you, Noah? Give me a name. Can you please tell me, Noah, who killed you? Did any of the Texas boys hurt you or kill you? Were any of the Texas boys involved in your death?
And that's what find a Jared. If you're black.
Who are you most upset with around all of this? Was someone angry at you? Did they take their anger out on you?
Be that they just run off.
What's that?
Was this all around a bet?
Both events.
Who made the bet? Who was the bet between that you talked about in the last spirit session? Who made the bet?
Okay, if we do.
You're in heaven now?
Raise up.
What happened to you, Noah, on the night of the party? Were you alone with the girl?
You know what?
Did that get you in trouble? Which girl are you angry with? Because you do talk about the bitches. And you seem to be angry, and you keep saying in every spirit session that she was there at the time you were dying, Noah. Who was it?
Archie.
Is that?
You lied to me.
Who was the female? Or that you call a bitch?
I think it was that.
Nothing.
Which girl was involved? Which girl was there?
What do these chefs have in common? They're all part of Cook Unity, the only meal service power.
Who saw your body at the time you were dying, Noah? Was there a girl there? You told me she was there.
Olympics.
BC me. Listen to me.
In one one spirit session, you said that Jack dropped something on you, or somebody dropped something on you at the house. Who dropped something on you?
When you found
Who's the
you
Who's the bastard? You say that word a lot too.
Of planning. I must top
What was dropped on you?
home.
Who injured you severely? Was it an accident, Noah?
Hello?
Was this an accident or a murder? Did they mean to kill you?
Read.
Why did at around 3 in the morning it's been said that they factory reset their phones? Is that true?
Favourites and then stand down.
What was on their phones that they had to factory reset it, Spirit? Did they all see what happened to Noah?
Big thing, mate. Unbelievable. Almost.
How many people saw what happened to Noah?
Told the officials. Truth. Or stand still. Having a little bit of grave.
Who was there when you were dying, Noah? Who killed you?
Details.
Oh.
He's
Which girls are you talking about?
she's captive.
Did a girl start the bet? What was the bet?
Your feet. What to do?
What did she bet you to do? Who else was involved in this bet?
Yes. So I was. We get MG is on hand with the. You know how to.
Was it the reason you died, Noah, the bet? What did they bet you to do? How did you get your injuries?
No offense, but if you still think stocks, real estate, or crypto are the best passive income...
Were you a willing participant to this bet? Were you forced to do something that you didn't want to do, Noah? Oh my God. What role did Jack play?
You sure it's over with. Supposed to respond. Being fortunate.
What did Jack do to you?
New president.
Did Jack harm you in any way that night? Who else was there when this was happening to you, Noah?
And they smoked. As a result of it. Yes.
Were you tied to something? All the people